Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today we are going over my top 5 dockyards. So as the newer dockyard is coming to a close, and we have the Blucher dockyard to look forward to, I figured we'd take a step back and look at some previous dockyard events and look at what I consider to be some of the better ones, both in terms of the event and the ship itself. So that's what we'll be discussing in today's top 5 video. So let's go ahead and get started. But if you do find yourself enjoying this video, please make sure you drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. All that jazz helps out with the YouTube side of things. Now, let's get into it. Coming in at number 5, we have the Tier 8 Premium German battleship, the Odin. So the Odin herself is... It really pains me to say this because I really liked the Odin when she first came out. She has not aged overly well. She could probably do with a couple of buffs here and there. So like the ship herself is kind of in today's World of Warships, especially with how passive it is at higher tier, how often you have to like chase down your food and such. And considering Odin doesn't really have the best main battery gunnery in today's World of Warships, she's really all about the secondaries unless you're at closer range. Yeah, she's not doing so hot, but she does have a ton of just about every single German consumable and trait, that you can bolt onto a ship. She's got great armor, some absolutely amazing, thick, tough armor. She's got torpedoes, she's got hydro, catapult planes, secondaries, the German AP and the German HE with the HE pins, all of that rolled into one ship. I don't really think there's much Germanness that didn't get added to the ship. So the ship herself is unfortunately not that great, but the dockyard with the Odin was the first modern quote-unquote or first improved dockyard, I guess you could call it, because the Odin was the second dockyard ship following the Puerto Rico. The Puerto Rico dockyard, if you were not around for that, that was an absolute disaster. It was miscommunicated exactly how tough the missions were going to be for the Puerto Rico dockyard. So Wargaming took a step back. They made some good changes. They were very open and transparent. With the Odin dockyard, we got the missions in advance, meaning not that we got them to grind out, but we were told what they were in advance, and they were very transparent, and we got this dockyard. And since the Odin dockyard, this has been essentially the model that all subsequent dockyards have followed. And the dockyard, in my opinion, is one of the best events in game with the amount of stuff you can get for free and generally how it is ran since the Odin dockyard. So, well, yes, Odin herself is not an overly fantastic ship. This is where we got the modern dockyard, if you will. So that's why she's at number 5. The ship, I mean, Tier 8 ranked and Tier 8 brawl, she still has her place here and there, but like random battles, it's just not a great time. She has exceedingly low HP for her tier. That's to offset her amazing armor. Like, if this thing had, full-on Tier 8 battleship HP, it would probably be a little bit too much. But, I mean, she got 55,000 HP with the flag now, right? That is still so low for a Tier 8 battleship. So you maybe, Wargaming wants to give her, a little bit of love, a little bit more HP, or maybe some more accurate main battery guns. I think that would definitely help her out in today's World of Warships. But, yeah, great dockyard, though. Alright, going on down to number 4, we have the Tier 8 Premium Pan-American battleship, the Atlantico. So the Atlantico, this was more just about the ship. The Atlantico is a great ship, in my opinion. Yeah, it's a brawler. Yeah, it's slow. Doesn't sound like it would do good in today's World of Warships. But, you know what? She does. And it is so goofy. Well, it used to be goofy, seeing the amount of secondaries that this ship has, and of course the, Goliath caliber secondary guns that the Atlantico does get, that the Ipiranga does not. The Atlantico, by the way, this is what I'm assuming many of us thought the Pan-American battleships were going to be once we got them, a full-on tech line of them. But then we got what we got with our hyper-maneuverable, fast, dreadnought-style battleships, right? The Atlantico is a proper dreadnought, and she feels like it too. She feels heavy and weighty. She's really well armored, and she doesn't even have HE with her main battery guns. She has AP shells, which is something all right. Given the fact that, of course, you do have a couple of Goliaths strapped to the side of your ship, you don't really need HE shells with the Atlantico and your main battery guns, because those Goliath caliber secondary guns, they're going to do most of the heavy work when it comes to, well, HE pin damage and, of course, setting fires. And that does, of course, hurt, again, in today's World of Warships, where at Tier 8 Plus, we have a lot of passive rounds. We have a lot of, sitting at 15, 16, 17 kilometers, and just kind of, slinging shells back at us, back and forth between one another. Considering that the Atlantico only has 15-inch guns and not, some larger caliber guns like 16-inch guns. That is definitely, a big balancing factor, if you will, with the Atlantico being a Tier 8 ship. But again, if you can't get into secondary range, I mean, like, this thing can really, even without the funny F button, it can shred quite a lot. I mean, again, Goliath caliber secondary guns. Plus, you can get the concealment range to be the same as the secondary battering range. So it doesn't really matter, bar, CV being in the game or a submarine. Once you're 11.5 kilometers away from somebody, it doesn't matter if they can spot you. If they're spotted, they're going to get torn to shreds. So that's big fun. And, I don't want to say I was disappointed with the way that the Pan American battleship line turned out. It's just that, I thought we were going to get a line of bigger Atlanticos. Makes sense, right? It feels a lot more like a dreadnought than, the Libertad and the Ipiranga and all of them, right? But, yeah, I do like the ship. It's good fun in Tier 8 brawls and Tier 8 ranked, and if you take, just Tier 8 ships into asymmetric battles, it's great for that. And now that we have, of course, what's his name? Joaquim, or Marquez, Marquez, Lisboa. He is, he's great to throw in here too because of his secondary battery talent. Once you get 175 main and secondary battery gun hits, you get a boost to the reload time of those guns, and that is just absolutely goofy. So the Atlantico, just a good, fun, solid ship from a Dockyard. What you would expect from a Dockyard ship. Something that's great, fun, all that jazz. All right, going our way down now to number 3, we have the Tier 10 American heavy cruiser, the Puerto Rico. Now you might be thinking, Sealord, why in the world would you put Puerto Rico on this list, considering you just, talked about how terrible the event was in the Odin's section? Well, 2 reasons. 1, the Puerto Rico stumbled and fell down 3 or 4 flights of stairs, so the rest of the dockyards could run. 2, Wargaming did come back around and redo the Puerto Rico dockyard in a normal fashion, so that everyone that didn't get the Puerto Rico the first time because of how terrible the dockyard was could get the Puerto Rico, and 2, those of us that had the Puerto Rico got a nice little bit of rewards out of it, right? So it was a nice gesture by Wargaming, in my opinion, bringing back the Puerto Rico in a proper, more sane dockyard, right? So everyone else could get it. And the Puerto Rico herself is a pretty solid Tier 10 cruiser. It's not just the Alaska with the turret bolted onto it like so many do think. It's more like a mini Montana. And with, those Alaska guns, those 310mm guns with the dispersion, if you can get all 4 turrets on target, I mean, the Puerto Rico can put in some heavy work with that AP, especially take the heavy AP skill as well. It's not uncommon for Puerto Rico to clap broadside cruisers that, slip up and show just a little bit too much ankle there. And plus the Puerto Rico, if you build into it, it's actually one of the few ships in the game that can still absolutely shred planes. A full AA build Puerto Rico, from the modules to the commander, that is a CV's worst nightmare. Naturally, of course, I think we did try this on stream a few months ago, but, naturally when I spend all my, credits building the Puerto Rico to be an AA blender, naturally you don't get any CV gains. But yeah, it's one of like the, 4 ships that still have great AA, like her, the Minotaur, the Jacksonville, and the Wooster. That's about it, right? But, the ship is great. Really tanky ship, too, if you know what you're doing, especially again, if you have, old boy on it. Now, of course, I can't remember his name. Halsey. He's it's a great fit for Halsey, of course, with the Confederate skill where you can get the buff to the reload time. Not really hard to get Confederate in the Puerto Rico, again, given her 12 310mm guns. The HE is also, again, you're throwing 12 shells at the target too. Pretty solid thing. Just like the Alaska, if the Puerto Rico can't citadel you or pin you down with her AP, she can burn you down with the HE. Get your choice of DFAA or Hydro on there, and you get the radar with a full radar build, if you will, 45-second radar as well. Pretty crazy. So really, really great ship. Great that Wargaming brought it back and, kind of made up for their mistakes with it the first go-round. So that's why she's at number 3 on this list. And coming on down now to number 2, we have the Tier 9 Premium Italian Cruiser, the Michelangelo. Now, the Michelangelo is something that, well, she is the last, I guess, unique Dockyard ship, which is why she's so high on this list. If you look at the Dockyard ships we've gotten since the Michelangelo, it's been, unfortunately, a lot of copy and paste. Granted, again, the amount of unique, real, still historical ships that Wargaming could add into the game is getting lower and lower. Same with unique, quote-unquote, designs. I mean, they're still out there for sure. There's still a few that they can, keep adding into the game, but understandably, they kind of want to pace themselves, I believe at least, with those designs and those ships. But yeah, she was the last truly unique Dockyard ship, and she was a SAP secondary cruiser, which is just crazy. This ship is so weird and is so wonderful and so unique. I just love it. I'm struggling to find the words to describe it. But yeah, the main battery guns of the Michelangelo. She's actually in a World War One, I think even like a pre-World War One battleship. So you got your main battery guns in the center with the barrels facing each other. They're 332, 335 millimeter guns, somewhere around there. So you actually have terrible main gun angles, but that's fine because the main guns don't matter on the Michelangelo. The secondary guns are where it's at because you have those 90mm SAP secondaries along with you get 2 155mm SAP turrets on the front and 2 on the stern. So those are your real damage dealers with the Michelangelo. Strap on an exhaust smoke and hydro and just go to town. She has, I think, she does have slightly higher secondary DPM than the Napoli, but her range is shorter. You can only get her secondaries out to 10.5, 10.6, and 10.7 kilometers. Or, of course, with the Napoli now, you can get it out to 12, of course, with the skill and the full build, right? But, I mean, from within those 10.5 kilometers, man, the Michelangelo can put in some work, and it's a really, really fun ship because of that. And you get torpedoes on top of all this as well, too, which is ridiculous. This is kind of what the Napoli was not really missing, but, it didn't have. You can't have the smoke and hydro combo. But with the Michelangelo, you can. That's great for using your exhaust smoke to pop that. And, from within 5 kilometers, pop your hydro, and now you can let your secondaries rip into the enemy ship. You can dump your torpedoes all without getting spotted, because secondaries don't get you spotted in smoke. Conversely, too, of course, you gotta get within 5 kilometers of somebody, so you gotta get close to pull this off. Of course, someone is spotting for you too. You can pop the smoke and just let the secondaries do the thing, just like the Napoli can as well. And Napoli does get, of course, her plane to pop, and you can use that to kind of spot for you. But the hydro's nice because you can't shoot the hydro out, right? So she's a fun ship, a unique ship, and in my opinion, again, one of the best Dockyard ships in game because of that. And again, keep in mind, all these ships, I don't want to say mostly, well, they are mostly free because you have to grind your way through the missions, and yes, the missions can get a little bit hard, but typically you have to give, some menial amount of doubloons up for the event. We're talking, usually 20-ish, maybe 30-ish bucks for a ship. High tier ships too, pretty good deal. All right, coming in at number 1, we have the Tier 10 American battleship, the Wisconsin. I know I just said the whole thing about the whole copy-paste ships with the Michelangelo slot, but look, the Wisconsin is good. The Wisconsin is very, very good. It's a turbocharged Iowa, which is just wonderful, because the Iowa is already a fantastic Tier 9 battleship in game, especially once you learn, not to sail completely broadside onto the enemy team. That happens so much because the Iowa is, the Montana line, I should say, is a line that most new players go up in the North American server because, of course, North American server, right? So, newer players get to the Iowa, they get to Montana, they sail broadside, they get clapped because of it, so there's that. But once you figure out how to actually play those ships properly, they are some rightfully great battleships. And Wisconsin, of course, no exception because it's a turbocharged version of the Iowa. By that I mean it has more accurate guns, it's got a better heal, it's got slightly, I think slightly faster rudder shift time, and the shells are tuned a little bit differently. You have slightly less pins at close range, but better pins at longer range, and they fly through the air a little bit faster than the Iowa shells. So she's a more comfortable at longer range Iowa, essentially, with a funny button that you can pop by getting shell hits on target, main battery shell hits on target. Once you pop it, you get a boost to the cooldown time of your consumables, and you get a boost to the reload time of your main battery guns. So if you time everything right, you can get a couple of quick follow-up shots on your broadside targets with that great American Super Heavy Mark 8 AP. Which the alpha damage for that is much higher than comparable 16-inch guns. So, yeah, it's pretty nice. Now, of course, you only have 9 guns at tier 10, and you do have tier, 9 battleship HP and tier 9 battleship armor at tier 10. So that's not, overly great. You kind of get a nice compensation there for that with the improved heal and with the, again, the combat instructions where you get the quicker cooldown time on your heal. Plus, you still get the nice American long duration damage con that runs for 22 seconds if you build into it. So for those 22 seconds, no fires, no floodings can get started on your ship. And keep in mind, again, this was a Dockyard ship. A ship that you could get for, again, like $20, $30-ish worth of doubloons after grinding through the missions. And in fact, if you bought the West Virginia 44, which was the midpoint reward for this Dockyard ship, which is also another excellent premium ship, you got the Wisconsin completely for free. Which, of course, many on the North American server did buy that ship when it came out because we were all, chomping at the bits to get the West Virginia 44. So for many North American players, this was literally a free tier 10 premium ship that is quite simply one of the best ships in the game, hands down, bar none. That's a pretty good Dockyard in my opinion. So that's why the Wisconsin is here at our #1 slot. So guys, those are my top 5 Dockyards. Let me know in the comments down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What would your top 5 Dockyards be? Let me know that and more in the comments down below. Again, if you liked the video, make sure you drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, all of that jazz. Hope you guys have a wonderful Monday and wonderful rest of your week. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.